John Carpenter autographs, D. Snyder's new horror film, and Stranger Things, the stage play, all on this Friday edition of Spill the Guts.
I like it spooky.
Hello and welcome. My name is Clint, and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday I bring you this Horror News Blitz Roundup, as well as co-host one of the fastest growing podcasts around, the I Like It Spooky Horror podcast, every other week, which has a new feature episode releasing this coming Sunday. As for today, there is arguably big news across the board, so let's get into it because today is Friday, July 7th, and this just in. Vintage Authentics announces a private signing with none other than the master of horror himself, John Carpenter. Among the many autographs available on VintageAuthentics.com, a pre-order is currently underway for the autograph of the man who has brought us perhaps one of the most influential horror movies of all time, Halloween. Not to mention such horror classics as Christine, They Live, The Thing, The Fog, Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York, Assault on Precinct 13, Vampires. I mean, the list just goes on and on. In addition to sending in your own items to be signed, Vintage Authentics will also have several items to choose from as well, such as photos, Funko Pops, knives, and Michael Myers masks. At the request of John Carpenter, there will be no personalizations, character names, or quotes offered for this signing. The price for this fairly rare autograph opportunity comes in at $160 and does include Beckett certification. For additional information and to secure your John Carpenter autograph, click over to MintageAuthentics.com. That's MINTYCH Authentics.com, but you better do so fast as orders will close August 6th. And anything you want to send in is due that day also. Now, if you're looking for quick, easy access to the order page, I will post a direct link on the I Like It Spooky Horror Podcast Facebook page. D. Snyder says his new horror movie, My Enemy's Enemy, is very disturbing and is going to change the game again. D. Snyder says that his new movie, which he is both writing and directing, has been affected by the current Writers Guild of America strike. The 11,500 film and television writers in the WGA have been on strike since the beginning of May, leading many productions to pause and live scripted programs such as late-night talk shows to go off the air. Last month, it was reported that Hollywood actors may be on the verge of joining screenwriters in what would be the first two-union strike in the industry in more than 6 decades. The Twisted Sister frontman spoke about My Enemy's Enemy during a new appearance on the SDR show with Ralph Sutton. He said, quote, "It's a very disturbing movie that's going to change the game again, and I'm going to get to direct it. But right now we're in the midst of a lot of union stuff, which is really stopping the whole process." Asked if he planned to shoot the movie this year, Dee said, "I was actually set up to film it last year. God, I don't get the industry. We were location scouting, we cast the whole movie in Las Vegas. Everything was all set to go, and then it was delayed. And everybody in Hollywood goes, this is just the way it goes. It takes years. Somebody, I think maybe Steven Spielberg, said, it's amazing any movie ever gets made. It's just such a process. So it was postponed to this summer, and now the strikes are happening, so I'm on hold." 3 years ago, Snyder, who previously wrote and starred in the cult 1998 horror movie Strangeland, revealed that My Enemy's Enemy is based on a real-life crime spree that took place in his native Long Island, New York in 1982. It's considered the most horrible of crimes in the history of the area where I grew up. Each of the people convicted got 365 years in prison, each for the crime. I took that story and I said, well, what if? And I'm being very general because I don't want to give away too much at this point. But I said, what if when this crime was happening, a Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees showed up? Someone who was more evil. And My Enemy's Enemy is about can we join each other when we're enemies to fight a greater enemy. And it is now that time once again to pause for station identification and hear from our podcast network, the PFPN.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
Last story of the day comes to us from iHorror.com, who reports that a feverish trailer has dropped for a new Stranger Things project. Stranger Things has accomplished so many things in its short runtime. The show is part of the reason we are currently experiencing a resurgence of 80s-themed horror. It has also spawned several games and its own long line of merchandise. Fans that can't find enough Stranger Things content to consume will be pleased to know that Shawn Levy is bringing the show into the real world with Stranger Things: The First Shadow. This stage play will work as a prequel to the existing canon of the show. If prequels aren't your thing, Shawn Levy has stated that the elements of the play may be relevant to the 5th season of the show. Stranger Things: The First Shadow will focus on the people of Hawkins and the events that took place in 1959. The characters of Jim Hopper, Joyce Melanado, and Bob Newby will make appearances as their teenage selves. This play is set to premiere at the Phoenix Theatre in London on November 17th of this year. There is no information as to whether the play is going to make a global debut. The short teaser trailer that was dropped doesn't give us much to go on, but that is the point of a teaser, isn't it? Just something to get the fans' appetites going before the premiere. What we can see is a distorted recap of some of the history of Stranger Things, maybe leading us to conclude that the past is the key to the future. Make sure to hop over to the I Like It Spooky Horror Podcast Facebook page for a link to the trailer. And so ends another Friday edition of Spill the Guts. But before I send you into the upside down of your weekend, I need to remind you that you can find the I Like It Spooky Horror podcast on all major social media platforms, and to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss a Spill the Guts news segment, Appendages movie streaming rundown, or a feature episode like the new one that drops this coming Sunday that includes an interview with writer Brian Clark and a discussion of the 1974 film Demoniacs that you have to hear to believe. Enjoy your weekend and all of the free quality listening content we strive to fill it with, and I will talk with you again this coming Monday on another edition of Spill the Guts.
Hey, what's wrong with you, man? Show some fucking respect for the dead, will ya?